Send it.
Welcome to the Question Chronicles, where we ask each other questions, give answers that may or may not be right, and then do some research off camera, come back the next week, and give a better answer than we had before.
Whether it's your most recent hyperfixation, or you just want someone else to look it up for you, we're here for you. As always, on Tuesday nights at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Where are you? What is your time called?
Central Time. Central Standard Time.
Central. 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. West Coast time. Do you know how long it took me to realize that there were 4 different time zones in the US instead of 3? Like, I just didn't think Mountain Time existed.
I forget about Mountain Time a lot. And then you got to take into account Arizona, because they're going to be different too.
Oh yeah, because they don't have daylight savings. Well, they're still within the like 4-hour range.
Yes.
Because when they're right, they'll be with Mountain Time, right? And then when they're daylight savings, they'll either be with Midwestern, or California Western time.
Yep. And then you got Hawaii, which is just very, very far in the past.
Oh yeah, are they in the same time zone as Alaska?
That I don't know. I was about to actually ask you if you knew when Alaska's time zone was. Consider this not my question, but a question that we should figure out is where time zone's Alaska in.
I'll look it up now. Because I feel like, in my mind, like they're in the same area. But that's probably not true.
The globe, like all the maps you see, make it kind of seem that way, but I don't know if it is because of the way the Earth is sliced up.
I was
Part
going
of
to
it might
say,
be for sure.
Well, even the time zones are not straight lines. Especially over the oceans.
Well, they would be if the Earth was flat. They could be.
That's true. We'll find out this week. They're going to Antarctica.
If the Earth is flat.
In like 2 days.
Oh, we actually will find out, huh?
Yeah. Well...
Yeah, so make sure you come back next week, everybody, to find out whether the Earth is flat or not. Alright, so getting into it, you went first last week, so this week I'll go first.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
So Hawaii... So apparently Alaska has 2 different time zones in it.
That makes sense?
Maybe 3? One of them is in line with Hawaii. I think, if Reddit is correct, which I am not sure, Hawaii and Anchorage, Alaska are in the same time zone, like, area.
Very cool.
But Alaska does follow daylight savings, and Hawaii does
Hawaii
not.
does not.
And
you don't need to follow daylight savings in Hawaii. It's pretty sunny all year round.
I mean, I would think you would not need it for the same reason, or like the opposite reason in Alaska.
Yeah, but they just have like sun day, you know?
What? I thought they had like sun 6 months. Isn't it sunny for
I think it's like sun
hours?
month. I think they have like a period where the sun doesn't go down, like a very brief week or month or something like that.
We'll find out.
Add to the list of things. Add to the list of things we'll figure out.
Well, because that's what they're trying to test in Antarctica. They're trying to
see the sun.
Yeah, if there's a 24-hour sun, then whoever the flat earthers that are going actually have admitted that if the sun is 24 hours there, it does not fit with their model. I don't know if they're willing to accept that the Earth is round after that, or spheroid, but they recognize that that is going to disprove their model.
Well, we can only hope that we get some conversions over to round Earth theory, you know?
Yeah, that's true. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. This is not to be religious, but I was watching a video the other day about evolution and how evolution is taught in schools. And there was like a paper done by, I think, Pennsylvania State University, like the Penn State, the Big Ten. Okay. We are school.
We are Penn State.
Yeah. And it's like 60% of people got taught actually like intelligent design instead of evolution in biology class.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly can't even remember what I was taught
Um,
through K through 12 education on it.
I know we were taught evolution, but I distinctly remember the start of the talk being our biology teacher telling us she's a Christian and that Christianity and evolution are not mutually exclusive. You can believe in God and believe in evolution. Like they don't have to discredit one another.
Good disclaimer. Good disclaimer.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, sorry, let's get to the actual
Good
the
segue.
actual
Good segue.
show.
So last week, I asked you, in Holy WoW Studios' 2022 hit Trombone Champ, what 2 features caused the biggest delays in development, and what were they based on?
Yeah, you did. And I will say that the answer was like line 6 of Wikipedia, and it took me an hour to get there because I did not want to use Wikipedia. However, that is where I ended up after. So I watched a YouTube video about the history of Trombone Champ, and fun fact, Holy WoW Studios made like 6 or 7 games before Trombone Champ. One of the notable ones, which never released, was, I think, like Star Enterprise Commander or something. It was kind of like a Star Trek clone, but obviously you can't use Star Trek in a game if you're not the owner of Star Trek. I'm not going to say who that is so I don't get flamed again about Super Enix.
Super Enix, that's right.
Wait, what's the
Square Enix?
Square Enix, sorry. But it's like a game in which you control basically the Enterprise, and you go on missions, and like it's normal. It was a mobile game, so it's like normal mobile game stuff. Like you have to wait a day to make any upgrades. You'll go on missions, and you have to wait 8 real-time hours for your homies to return. Stuff like that. And then eventually, they were like, you know what's a funny instrument? The trombone.
Yep.
And then it's history.
I'm a big fan of how this came about, because I remember playing Guitar Hero, like the first Guitar Hero way back when, and it was probably around the same time I was starting band on trombone, and just thinking like, how cool would it be if I had this like plastic guitar in my hands, but instead of a guitar it was a trombone, and I got to move it around. And someone had that same thought, but actually like took it and made a game as best they could with that thought.
60 years later from when you were a kid too.
That's right.
Will age reveal.
Close to retirement. Stay tuned.
I saw in the development, he was like, my big problem with Guitar Hero was it didn't sound cool when you messed up. Like, that game is all about perfection, and it's not fun to mess up. Like, you have to be good to have fun. And he was like, I wanted to make it fun to make mistakes as well. And given you do get graded on at the end, more on that later. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You get graded on the tunes, and you get money based on the tunes that you play at the end. But he was like, it sounds funny when you mess up, because you're playing the fart instrument. More on that later as well.
Okay, I'm excited now.
So, to answer the question, I'm just going to read the quote that I copied from Wikipedia. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about each thing. So, I would like the record to show I was correct on one of the 2 things.
That's right.
I wasn't right on where it was based off of, but I was correct.
2
features of the game forced the longer development time, the introduction of tromboner cards, mark a tick in the David column. That's what I said last week. Right. Which was to parody loot box systems in other games. And so, the way that mechanic works is, once you finish those songs, you get, they're called toots, or are they just toots?
Just toots.
Okay, so you get toots, which are an in-game currency, and they look like little coins with trombones on them. And then you can take those toots to the store and buy basically a gacha system where you buy a card pack, you open it, it's got a bunch of cards in it. And on some of those cards are baboons, which brings me to the second thing, which is a loose story involving baboons, which Vachito created in parody of the Dark Souls series narratives.
That's right.
Now, I don't know a whole ton about Dark Souls, so I'm not going to speak to that, but I will give you an overview of the baboon storyline, quote unquote. So, basically, you start to get trading cards that are baboons, and they eventually evolve into a bunch of things, ending with a straight-up god.
Yeah.
Called, hold on, I've got to wait for my internet browser to open. It ends up with a god called... Oh, where's this at? Hold
the
on.
deep lore of Trombone Champ.
The Baboon Trombone Master, but what's his name? He has a real name, right? It's like an actual, like, real old mythology god.
Oh, that I actually can't remember. I 100% of the game, like, in 2 hours because it was pretty straightforward, and then all that story stuff has been blocked from my memory since then.
Gotcha. Well, we're gonna go with Baboon Trombone Master for now. And eventually you get a bunch of these cards, and it unlocks a secret level where you go to a final showdown, and you beat the game, basically. Or 100% the game.
Did you see who you go against in the final showdown?
I did not.
It's I believe it's Trazom, which is Mozart backwards.
That's funny. No, I think most of what I saw was trying to avoid spoilers. And so
Okay.
they kind of were like, oh, there's this hidden part of the game, but they didn't use like names or a whole ton of story points.
Okay. Makes sense.
And a fun fact about the reason that it's oh, I just knocked my microphone. Sorry, everyone who had to hear that. A fun fact about why they're baboons. So most of the difficulties are start with a B, ranging from baby to bonkers. And the developer wanted a name for the medium difficulty that started with B and eventually settled on baboon. Eventually, he scrapped the whole B gimmick in its entirety. However, the baboon remained as the underlying story, and labeled baboons as the trombones of the animal kingdom. To put a nice bow on it.
There's some really good facts in this game. Whenever you get to a loading screen, it presents you a fact about trombones. Some of the good ones being that, did you know the trumpet and trombone are related? They're cousins.
Yeah, the trumpet is
as well as if you laid every trombone in the world end to end, you would have enough to reach the sun like 6 million times.
Consumerism.
That's right.
Alrighty, I think I'm ready for your this week question.
For sure. So last week you asked me, in Skyrim,
Whoa,
who is the Ebony Warrior?
hold on.
Oh, you want to move forward, huh?
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you. All right. So this week,
Is that not what we did last week?
I have no idea.
Well, we'll do that this week.
All right, perfect. We'll figure it out eventually. We'll streamline the process. So my question for you this week, circling back, we'll take a break every other week to these types of questions. Back to one of my favorite games, World of Warcraft. And not necessarily just World of, the Warcraft series as a whole, 30 years now in the making. How many generations of Death Knight have there been? Who created each one? And what are some of the biggest differences in their abilities?
Well, I had the thought of an answer until you brought up the original Warcraft. Because I did not know that there were Death Knights in those iterations.
That's right.
So I'm just going to go off of what I do know, which is World of Warcraft. The Death Knight, excuse me, was introduced in Wrath, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, based on that, that's one iteration. I'm just going to say that every expansion since then has gotten a new iteration, even though that's probably false.
Okay.
So, after Wrath, there was Cataclysm. After Cataclysm, there was Mists of Pandaria. And then there was Warlords of Draenor.
Correct.
And then there was Dragonflight.
You missed 3. In between those two.
3? Okay, so Warlords of
Yes.
Draenor. Is the time-based one next?
Warlords of Draenor was the one with the alternate timeline.
In fudge.
So after that, you went to Legion.
Oh,
From
Legion.
we went to Battle for Azeroth.
Okay, yes.
From there, we went to Shadowlands.
And
then
now
to
it's Dragonflight.
Dragonflight.
And now there's a new
we're
one.
in the War Within.
Okay. So, Wrath, Cataclysm, the Warlords of Draenor. No, Mists of Pandaria. Sorry, keep the 3 up. Warlords of Draenor is 4. Warlords of Draenor is 4. And then Legion. Oh no, what's in between Legion and Battle for Azeroth? Or no, Battle for Azeroth is next. Then Shadowlands.
That's right.
Okay. And now we're in the War Within. No, then Dragonflight.
Yep.
So there's been, by my calculation, 9 iterations of the Death Knight.
Okay.
I'm sure that's not true because I doubt that every single expansion reworks the class entirely.
Okay.
However,
important distinction with that, I do mean lore-wise. I probably should have specified that, not necessarily mechanically.
Yikes. In that case, 9's probably an underestimate, I would imagine.
Okay.
I think I'll go with 9, though. And what I do know about the Death Knight is that, at least in Wrath, you started at a significantly higher level. It was like...
Correct.
Because Wrath's level cap was, what, 80?
Correct.
And you started at 55?
Yep.
Okay. I assume when you say the differences between them, they probably get their power from some kind of source, and I would imagine the source is what changes from iteration to iteration?
From Warcraft, the Death Knights have been presented in a variety of ways, and the entire archetype has changed.
Okay.
Since then, so that's kind of what I'm going for with what's different about their abilities.
Gotcha. So it might not be a
necessarily
source of power thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe the source of power is actually only changed once.
Interesting.
And that might not even be true. It might even be the same thing throughout all of them. But
Gotcha. Well, okay. I think I'm gonna leave it there because I don't even know how to explain what the Death Knight's abilities I know are, and so I'm not gonna make too much up at one time.
Totally fair.
And now on to you. So last week,
ready.
I asked you, who is the Ebony Warrior in Skyrim, and what is his history, and why does he want a warrior's death?
All right, so looking into this, I went down some Reddit threads, some forums, found a number of different things. The biggest common thread was the theme of reincarnation across all the characters of Skyrim. Whether it be what your character represents as the reincarnation of a Nord, that type of thing. And so the theory that I like the most and that I think is probably correct is that the Ebony Warrior is a reincarnation of Raymond Ebonarm, who is the god of war and companion and protector of all warriors. Some of the biggest things that point to this are some of the cut dialogue from Elder Scrolls Online, stating that every Redguard I know honors the god of war that way, by having a shrine in their home. The Ebony Warrior is a Redguard, which is the same as Raymond Ebonarm. And the Raymond Ebonarm is also depicted, I believe it was in Daggerfell, clad in a full suit of ebony armor, with the ebony sword fused to his arm that he had sustained after sustaining injuries in battle. And I think that fits the general theme of reincarnation, why he would be a Redguard, why he would be very powerful. And so that's who I think the Ebony Warrior is.
What about... So, this is a bit meta, but he is significantly bigger than every other character in Skyrim. There's only one other character who matches him in size, and I forget his name. But he is the guy who stands outside of Sovngarde and challenges you to a duel before you're allowed to enter the hall when you defeat Alduin, but spoiler alert, at the at the end of the main storyline. Him and the Ebony Warrior are the only two people, I think it's like a 1.35 or something size multiplier. So yeah, there is that as well.
So I've only done Sovngarde one time, because every time I play Skyrim, I just ignore the main story. Some of it is very boring to me. So there's only been one time that I've just gone through with it. So I don't even remember the dude before Sovngarde. But my best guess for that would be, some people are just going to be anomalies. People play into their own strengths. If you're just really big and you're a really good warrior,
Okay.
those things go hand in hand. Also, a good way for developers to notate that this is a bigger enemy. This is like a more important fight. This is a strong enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a visual context clue on to what their, not like role, but what they're good at. That they are strong.
Gotcha. Do you know how, like, what the game state has to be for you to trigger the Ebony Warrior coming to you?
It's level 80, right?
Mm-hmm. And what is important about that?
That I don't know.
Okay, so in the old days of Skyrim, you couldn't legendary any abilities. And so the maximum amount of experience you could gain was all of your skills being level 100.
Yes.
And once all of your skills were level 100, you hit level 80.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And so he was the boss,
He's
quote
like the
unquote.
ultimate challenge is what I saw.
Yeah.
I was reading about. Also to try to like simulate what PvP would be like, because he acts more player-like than a lot of the enemies, having access to shouts and different types of magic.
I would say so, yes.
And then as far as the next part of the question, why they might want a warrior's death, I found less on this, but the thing that I found the most interesting is what I'm going with, because I think it fits kind of the theme of Skyrim a little bit better, and it's that he wants to gain entry to Sovngarde, which is what I had said earlier. But Sovngarde, unfortunately, is only for the Nords, so he can't. So he's either trying to prove himself worthy of that and break the rules, or force himself in somehow.
Okay.
I think that does fit the theme really well, because you have, Skyrim is for the Nords, and the whole main story is about whether the segregation of Skyrim, and there's a lot of other themes there, but there's a lot of themes and tones of Nord racism against other races, I guess.
I would agree. And it's a shame because the Nord racism comes on the back of religious freedom, which I am definitely in favor of religious freedom, but
yeah,
not at the price of racism. Because, like, normally when I play Skyrim, and this might be taboo, but I do side with the Stormcloaks. I don't have a legitimate reason why. Like, when I was a kid, I did both sides, and I thought the Stormcloak one was more interesting, because you actually fight alongside the leader of the Stormcloaks, instead of going through the Imperial side and just doing General Tullius's bidding, even though he's just, like, some random guy. He's not the Emperor. But when I replayed it as an adult, I was like, I don't know if I like the straight-up racism that is enshrined in a lot of the Stormcloak propaganda, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I think if I played it again, I would definitely do that option where you can not pick a side until you finish the main story, and then you kind of just go to the like the peace deal thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens there. I think you have to make concessions, and you kind of just pick who gets what.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I've never done it, because again, I just never played through the main story.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But that's probably what I do now. Ulfric is a little extreme for my tastes.
Yeah. And I think that if I had to pick a bad guy, it would be neither the Stormcloaks nor the Imperials. I would just be like, the Thalmor are the bad guy.
Yeah.
And both the Empire and the Stormcloaks think that as well. And so I think if the Empire could do what Daggerfell did, like if they could band together with the Red Guards of Daggerfall, I mean, why not? And so, I don't know if... Do you know about what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's tell everyone else.
Go
So...
for it. You're going to do a way better job of explaining it than I will.
Fair enough. So, Skyrim is a make-believe world, obviously, and there is a group of high elves from... Oh, it's not Cyrodiil. I forget where they're from.
Isn't it Cyrodiil?
It is Cyrodiil. No, Cyrodiil houses the Imperials.
Oh, you're right. Falmar Place.
Yeah. Indeed.
Add to the list of things we'll figure out.
I'm looking it up now. So they're part of the Valenwood, Somerset Isles, and Somerset Isles.
Right.
And so the Thalmor is the government of the Aldmeri Dominion, which is basically the governing body. Like if you had to pick a country name, like the United States is in North America, but the United States is a country. The Aldmeri Dominion is the country, and Valenwood and Somerset Isles are the Americas. The name of the land. Yeah. And so the Aldmeri Dominion is the High Elf government, and they're basically Hitler. Like, there's not a better comparison to our real world. They are trying to gain as much power as possible by whatever means necessary so that they can have racial superiority.
That's right.
And so they... Basically, anyone who doesn't look like them, they invade and take control of them. And the end. And so there was a bunch of wars about them going into places, wrecking the joint, and getting them to pledge allegiance to the Aldmeri Dominion.
Yeah.
Hammerfell, which houses the Red Guards. I don't know why I said Daggerfall earlier. Hammerfell, which houses a race of people which, I mean, are basically just black people and Arabs, I think. Like,
Those cans.
Skyrim's kind of messed up because they separate the humans based on the color of their skin into different races. And the Red Guards are the black and Arab people. And the Nords are your, I don't want to say typical white people, but like...
They're like your...
They're like your English and German.
I think Skyrim tries to make them to try to be the typical Aryans. Of like blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin.
I would agree. And then there's a different race called Imperials, which is everyone who is not white or black. So like tan people. I would imagine...
I always viewed the Imperials as kind of like Mediterranean.
Yeah, I was gonna say Italians, but meh.
Yeah, Greek is what was my other thought. Greek and Roman.
That makes sense. And so the Skyrim separates people into races based on the color of their skin, which is stupid, but it's part of the game. And those people gain different resistances mechanically in the game. But so the Red Guards of Hammerfell were overrun by the Aldmeri Dominion. However, eventually they were like, we're sick of this. We've had enough. And so they fought back against the Aldmeri Dominion and won, and drove out the Aldmeri Dominion from their lands. So they have successfully done what the Stormcloak Rebellion is trying to do. And the Empire is another place where they had a big war. A lot of elves, a lot of humans died. And eventually the Empire was like, we've had enough fighting. We're going to pledge allegiance to the Aldmeri Dominion. And then that was all fine and dandy. The Skyrim is part of the Empire.
Yeah.
Until the Aldmeri Dominion tried to outlaw the worship of Talos, who is a human that was divine enough, quote unquote, to become a god. So he's if we have to put like a real world spin on it, he's basically Jesus. Jesus was a divine human that is is God, depending on your denomination. And so the thought is that Talos is a divine being that is a god. And the Aldmeri Dominion outlawed Talos, which is who a lot of Nords worshipped.
Yeah.
And so the Stormcloak Rebellion was like, we don't like that. We like Talos. So we're going to fight against this. And the problem is it comes at the back of a lot of them being like, if you're not a Nord, you don't belong in Skyrim. Because they just have a hatred for elves because of the Empire. And so, if the Empire could band together with the Stormcloaks and possibly recruit the Red Guards of Hammerfell in there, I believe that they could fight back against the Thalmor and Aldmeri Dominion.
Yep, I think the game does a really good job of narratively telling you who the actual bad guy is by the way of the main story being about infiltrating the Thalmor embassy during that party and dealing with that, as opposed to really digging in on the war between the Stormcloaks and Imperials. Stormcloaks and the Empire, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree, because you go to that party and the Thalmor are not painted in a good light. Like, you go into the basement of that place and there are prisoners strung up who maybe did something wrong, maybe didn't, who knows. But, like, being tortured, being withheld food, and I mean, it's a medieval game, so you expect that kind of thing to happen.
Yeah. Props to it. I'm excited to see what Elder Scrolls 6 brings. If besides the aerial in-game drone shot that we got, like what feels like 10 years ago.
I was gonna say, who knows when Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. They'll probably just re-release Skyrim for the 56th time.
I bet when they have the next Elder Scrolls 6 like gameplay trailers, preview, something like that, they re-release Skyrim. I don't see why they wouldn't.
They've got
try to build hype for the series again.
It's wild. All right, so I want to press you on one thing you said. So Raymond Ebonarm, you said, is a god of war, right?
Yes.
And you said that you think that he's the Ebony Warrior, and his reasoning is to get into Sovngarde, which is a Nordic burial ground?
The Ebony Warrior is like a reincarnation / representation of Raymond Ebonarm.
Okay, so
that theme kind of plays out a lot in Skyrim.
Why would a god of a different being, stature, whatever you want to say, like, he is not related to Nords, or any race for that matter, being the god of war? I know a lot of Red Guards worship him, but what motivation would he have to get into Sovngarde?
Sense of worthiness, because Sovngarde only takes the worthy Nords, and it's one of those places where like every Nord aspires to be there. Like, everyone wants to go to Sovngarde, everyone wants to go to the next thing. So that would be my thought, as well as he's trying to challenge you. If he can go to an afterlife where all there's going to be is challenges, like, this is the place where the most powerful warriors go. I'm a powerful warrior. Why would I not want to die and go there, where I can be around other people like me?
Does he not have his own domain as a god of war?
That I don't know. The whole like pantheon in Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls in general has always eluded me with the differences between gods, Daedra, the Daedric princes, all those types of things, and each getting like their own layer. I've never
Divin? Dovin?
doved too deep into all that, because it's I'd rather it be explained in game. World of Warcraft does the thing too, where they've stopped explaining things in game, and so any of the new lore stuff, I would rather be able to see it and like play through it and have it kind of presented to me than going out of my way to try to figure out how things are connected.
Fair enough. A lot of the Daedric princes and Daedra stuff was more explained in Oblivion.
Yeah.
Because I don't know too much about exactly how the gods work, but Daedra are basically just demons. They're beings that have not, like, walked the land outside of Oblivion.
Yeah.
And Oblivion is, like, some other plane of existence. And then they basically just, like, spawn into the world whenever they want. I don't know exactly how that works. Daedric princes, on the other hand, they are given by who knows what medium. They're given a section of Oblivion to rule over.
Yes.
And so that is how to... That is the distinction there.
Yeah, that is just all. None of it is like. I've only sniffed Oblivion.
I've never
barely
played
touched it. It's like I just won't go too far out of my way unless something is really piquing my interest in the moment. Like if I was, if I'm playing it and I'm like, oh, why is that the case? Let me figure that out. I'll go search it right away. But a lot of times, if I'm playing through something, get caught up in it, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to go search about the third-party medium book that you wrote about it, or I'm not going to go to your in-game books and read all of them. Yeah, if they're in front of me sometimes, but you're not going to catch me reading the Lusty Argonian Maid.
Fair enough. I saw a speedrun the other day on Twitch, and it was like speedrun to read every single book in Skyrim out loud. I did not watch for very long. It was not interesting. But apparently there's like hundreds of books.
The Elder Scrolls Anthology speedruns is one of the wildest things to watch. Some of like the first couple games have really weird wrong warps. So you just do the same dungeon about 15 times and then you beat the game. Because every time you hit the loading zone, it like checks the next thing.
Uh-huh.
It's really wild.
It's interesting.
It's someone like sitting down and it's like, let's play every single Elder Scrolls game back to back as fast as we can. And like, Skyrim speedruns are what, like 30 minutes or less?
I mean, if you're doing only the main story, yeah.
Yeah, like they're very fast.
And most of them involve
back to back
some kind of glitching to level up a skill super quick.
I go back and forth on speedruns, I love watching the how fast can we beat Super Mario Sunshine glitches and all, and it's like 3 seconds. But I also really love like how fast can I like glitchless beat this game pure, not to say that glitches don't have a skill expression, but just like skill expression of base game content.
Yeah. Because it's like
always
I don't always feel like I can do like glitchless speedruns. Not that they're not super impressive, but that is not a skill set that I own.
Yeah.
Unless I like dump a bunch of hours. Because like in Super Mario 64, you basically have to like back jump up a bunch of staircases that you shouldn't have access to.
Yeah.
To do that speedrun. But yeah, what you're saying with like the 100% glitchless speedruns, that is something that I feel like I could do. Like I could optimize a game in that way.
Yeah. I could not do it for Dark Souls or Elden Ring. You have to run past too many items on the ground, and I see one of those little shinies on the ground, and it's like, I have to go pick that up. I know what it is, and I'll never use it, but I need it.
Yeah. All right. I want to get to the actual question I have for you for this week. So it's going to be a Golden Sun question, because you asked me a question about your favorite game. I think it's only fair that I get to ask one about mine.
Unallowed, but okay.
So there are 2 Game Boy Advance games in Golden Sun. Golden Sun, The Lost Age, and then there's a 3rd DS game that we don't talk about.
Okay, I didn't even know there was one, so.
Well, you don't. There is not.
Alright, push from my memory.
So, both of the final bosses of the games are dragons. Ironically, you also only see dragons twice ever in the series. The final bosses of the game. And one of them is a 2-headed dragon. So there are 2 antagonists that you chase all the way through the first game. Their names are Satiros and Minardi.
Yep.
What
they kill me a lot.
They kill you the first time, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they merge into a fusion dragon at the end of the game, and then you fight that similarly, at the end of the second game, you get a dragon with 3 heads, summoned by the rock floating eye thing called the Wise One, which is some random entity. And my question is, why do you think the Wise One tested up the party with a dragon at the end of Golden Sun: The Lost Age, the second game in the series? And was it cruel? Why or why not?
All right. So I haven't played The Lost Age at all. I did play a little bit of the other one.
Okay.
Usually I kind of get to the same point after a lighthouse or two, and then I fizzle out.
There are only 2 lighthouses.
Oh my god, so I've always been so close. So I've never beaten the Golden Sun, but I've definitely done 2 lighthouses and just never.
You never beat
Done anything
Sadaros
else?
and Minardi at the end?
I don't believe so.
Okay. But you've gotten to the end of that fight?
I've gotten to the second lighthouse.
Yeah, that's the end of the game, that lighthouse.
Oh my god.
And then you do the other 2 lighthouses in the Lost Age.
Oh my god. So I've been very close to beating Golden Sun, never known it, and never played the Lost Age.
Okay.
So why he would test the party? Because he's an asshole, is my only guess. And yes, I would view it as cruel, because from my understanding, fixing the lighthouses, I forget what you do at the top of them, is like setting the world back to how it should be, and kind of containing the synergy.
You release the seal on alchemy when you do that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you know that, because that's not talked about a whole ton in the first game. It's detailed a bunch in the second game.
It's me going back and playing it again. It's pretty easy to read through the lines on it. Sadaros and Minardi are bad, and they're messing with the lighthouses. And the reason, if I remember correctly, that the whole prologue happens is that things are out of control and the volcano erupts.
Correct.
Or something blows up.
Mount Aleph.
Yeah. And that's where I put the 2 and 2 together. The Wise One, helps you, but I always thought he was still kind of a jerk when he helps you originally. I don't remember him being super benevolent.
He is ambivalent at best.
Yeah.
He teleports you to save your life, but then tasks 2 12-year-olds with the most important mission that has ever graced the world of Weird.
Yep. I don't remember him being very kind about it.
He talks through a healer, I think, and then the healer gets to deliver the message, but yeah, he's just like, yeah, these kids gotta go. And you're allowed to say no and let the world delve into chaos or whatever. Quick early game speedrun strat. You beat the game, the credits roll after that. You can finish the game in like 10 minutes.
Easy. Easiest speedrun I've ever probably done myself.
So,
but I would say it's probably cruel and just like a means of kind of a last minute fuck you.
Okay. I'm excited for you to actually learn about the final boss battle of Golden Sun. Because I think you'll come to the same conclusion, but for different reasons. And so I'm interested for you to find the actual reasons. Can you give us any more information about... So you're in Mount Aleph, taking the elemental stars to light the lighthouses, and you're playing as the 2 protagonist boys there, Isaac and Garrett.
Yep.
And Sadaros and Minardi come in. Who is with Sadaros and Minardi when they come in? Felix. And what is special about him?
Isn't he the protag in the Lost Age?
He is the protag in the Lost Age, but before we know
Jenna's
that,
brother.
He is no, but what is special about him from, I don't know, 3 years or something ago or something?
Doesn't he don't we think he's dead?
We do think he's dead, along with 3 other characters. There's Isaac's dad, so the protagonist of the first game's dad is believed to be dead, and Felix and Jenna's parents.
Yeah, I remember first time playthrough being shocked when Felix comes back, because you just watch him get hit by a rock.
You do watch him get hit by a rock. I think an important distinction there is you're right. While Satyrus and Minari are mean, they do straight up save Felix's life.
Yeah, they do. I don't remember any of their motivations, and I don't remember them being particularly mean because they don't kill you at the beginning, and they could.
Oh, they knock you out.
Yeah, but they leave you for dead, sure, but
Yeah, they could kill you and they don't.
yeah,
But at the same time, no one dies in the game ever, other than the end.
countless little enemies I have killed.
No, you fell them. You don't kill them.
They turn to ash on my screen. You won't convince me that that's not what is being implied.
Nice. There's only 2 characters who ever die, and it's Satyrus and Minardi. And then I think 2 more characters die at the end of the Lost Stage. But
Interesting.
it's the antagonist of that game. I also don't know if they're actually dead. I don't
Play
know.
the DS game to find out.
I don't know. You don't find out there either. And we don't talk about that game. But also, that game is so strange. It's called Dark Dawn, and it's fine, but like, it's not fine. I can't believe you've been to Venus Lighthouse, though, and have just given up and turned the game off when you were 10 minutes away from beating it.
Yeah, every time I've gone back to Golden Sun via emulator or like whenever I dig up my Game Boy and find that that's like one of the only cartridges I still have, I'm all about it. I think the Dijin system is really cool. A lot of the spellcasting is really neat. Like the magic system in general is super cool. And so I do enjoy the game, and then I'll just like binge it really hard. And next thing I know, I've been playing it for like 17 hours, just grinding or walking or trying to figure out what to do because I don't remember and refusing to look it up because I'm stubborn and I did it before. And then I just am like, I gotta stop, and then I never come back to it.
Yeah, I mean the puzzles in the game are there's like one puzzle that I always love, and it's the statue puzzle at the Lost Lighthouse where you have to read their minds, and it's like, I shine to the southeast of this statue.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Some
puzzle.
of that stuff is really cool. Some of the puzzles are really neat, but some of them I've always felt like some of the things in the game were convoluted and not totally explained.
I think that's
Which
also
is
just
par
like
for the course.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just
genre.
JRPG.
Yeah.
Stuff like there's always a secret dungeon and always a super boss that are not explained. Yeah. And the worst part about the first Golden Sun specifically is that you could go the entire game and beat it without even knowing what or where the secret dungeon is. Yep. Like, it's not even hinted at. I think it's done a lot better in the Lost Age because all of the things exist on the map and are easily accessible. You have to wait until you're at the end of the game to actually like get to the hard parts. But the lands exist on the map without question.
Yeah. I think one of the games I played recently that handled this, maybe they like went too far with it now that I think about it. Shin Megami Tensei 5. I just recently bought that, and recently being like 4 months ago. And I was playing through it, and kind of the secret hard bosses and pathway they give you is just like a quest you get in one of the first areas. And it like leads you to a different place, and you go there because you're like, oh yeah, it's a quest I have, I'll go do it, and you get your ass handed to you. And that I got the shit beat out of me in that many times, and I was like, I can't do this yet. I don't know how to play the game well enough, and I'm not high enough level. But it's one of those things where, like, if you know the mechanics and you know how to abuse the status and like weak system, you could probably beat it. And then you get another one to go to the next person, and that's equally as much of a challenge when you first get there.
So they send you on a gauntlet,
yeah,
like right at the beginning of the game, and they're just like, "Good luck."
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things of just here's the secret thing you can do, not necessarily a secret, but here's the difficult path to get a cool thing, and you're not going to be able to do it unless you know how to play the game.
Fun.
And it's maybe a little too spoon-fed to you because there is some like wonder and sense of accomplishment to finding out the secret dungeon or finding out the cool mechanic you can do to unlock the side door that opens up to a dragon that you have no idea how to beat, like that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
But also maybe a little more preferable to like diving underwater in Final Fantasy and then you just find Emerald Weapon. I think that's the one that's down there. And then you're like, oh cool, an enemy, and then you fight it and it's got the maximum health, all resistances or whatever, and have to beat it super specific ways.
Gotcha. Oh, we have to go back to the Skyrim question.
Okay.
It's good because I think we have 10 more minutes of time left. But I forgot to say something. So you messaged me your notes before, or not messaged me, but you put it in our Discord.
Yeah.
About your answer to this, and I said that you did not go the route that you thought I thought you would.
Yeah.
So there is a weapon in Oblivion and Morrowind called Umbra. Did you come across Umbra at all in your searches?
I did not.
Okay. So Umbra is a weapon that basically corrupts the user into a mindless killing machine, and the person becomes a vessel for the sword.
Okay.
And normally the person will just start calling themselves Umbra and start basically being possessed. And I've seen some good credence online to that theory, that the Ebony Warrior is the newest iteration of Umbra.
Okay. I think that could actually go hand in hand with some of the stuff I was reading about the entrance to Sovngarde, and because I liked the theming of Sovngarde being only for the Nords actually, but it would also apply to this happened to the Ebony Warrior. They've done unspeakable things because they just started like killing, and they're trying to prove themselves worthy, but Sovngarde will never accept them.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. But yeah, and then I think either this is either disproven or made stronger by one of the anniversary edition like selected mods or something, because it adds a quest where you go get Umbra, and
Okay.
the quest place is right by where you find and fight the Ebony Warrior once he comes up to you, and you actually fight a ghost of someone completely clad in ebony armor and wielding Umbra, which is a ebony katana type sword.
Yeah, I think that would be more proving it, just from the sense of if it is DLC or additional content, a lot of times that's done with the expectation that you've done everything previously, or that your character's like completed those things.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of the DLC for Skyrim did not do that. I think Dragonborn changes some stuff in the base game, but I know that's how it is for a lot of like MMOs, a lot of like the Dark Souls stuff. Kind of assumes you have done most of the rest of the game,
Yeah, and then
if not all of it.
Yeah, that's how it is in like Monster Hunter. Like,
yeah,
you buy Iceborne or Sunrise, and those missions are after the base game.
Yeah. What weapons are you going in Monster Hunter Wilds?
I mean, hammer, obviously.
I think you can bring multiple weapons though.
Probably hammer and charge blade, I think. I played the demo, but honestly, it didn't run super great.
Yeah, I heard mixed things about the demo.
And like, don't get me wrong, my PC's good. I built it myself, but it's not like I think I run 144 hertz in Minecraft, or 144 FPS in Minecraft, but not like I get 60 maybe if I play like a new AAA game.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I think outside of your machine's specs, it's had issues. People with way higher end PCs than either of us have had issues with it. I'm gonna run Hunting Horn for both my weapons.
They're making the Hunting Horn more like World, which is good because the Hunting Horn in World was significantly more complicated, but in a good way, to the one in Rise.
That's what I've heard. I played the one in Rise, and it gave me the itch, and I liked that I could just hit like the 3 buttons in a row. But then I didn't play Rise a ton because of stuff like that, where
You
I
played
felt
Rise
like I
with
hit
me
3
a ton.
buttons. I did play Rise with. I wouldn't say a ton,
We made it to
but maybe
master
that's
rank. That's a ton.
maybe that's just my comparison to how much I play other games. But yeah, started playing the Hunting Horn. It was fun in Rise. I wish it had a little more than just like YBB or whatever the buttons were.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you buy World, I will go through that entire game with you, and you can play Hunting Horn the whole time.
I probably won't be buying Worlds. I'm just gonna wait till Wilds. But I got enough things on my plate right now with games.
I have enough things on my plate with games, okay.
Oh yeah, I have things to get through. I'm almost level 60 in Classic WoW. Classic WoW.
You playing
And
on uber hard mode where you die forever if you die, or you
no,
too much of a wuss?
I did that in 2019, 2020 when it came out,
Mhm.
and it was fun. I don't have anyone who I'm really playing with right now, so I didn't really want to do a hardcore character because it loses a little bit of the excitement if you're just playing by yourself. So,
Yeah.
you're sitting at your desk and then you die, and it's like, oh,
Tragedy.
okay. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think if I ever streamed World of Warcraft, maybe I would. They do a big thing about it. Some of the biggest streamers are all joining a guild called
OnlyFangs? Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I watch Pirate Software
Oh yeah.
a lot, and yeah, I've been seeing some OnlyFangs.
Yeah, they did that the first time it came out, and they did it on this re-release as well.
Which
so they're
is
doing a lot of cool stuff with it.
It is funny because I'm pretty sure Thor Pirate Software only ever plays Alliance. And
Probably.
OnlyFangs is a Horde clan, like he's playing a troll.
Yeah. I think they did that on purpose because the last time they did it, they were Alliance on the Defias Pillager server. And so to just shake it up, they played Horde this time.
Interesting.
I also only really play Alliance, and no one I play with will ever want to play Horde, which is fair.
I am an Alliance person myself. However, my friend once convinced me to play Horde once, and I played a Tauren because I don't know, that seems like the coolest. But like, Loki had a lot of fun.
Yeah, some of the Horde side stuff is cool. My beef with it is how Blizzard has taken the Horde recently. They are kind of the de facto bad guys now.
Which they always were, I thought.
There used to be more like pre-World of Warcraft, it was humans putting orcs in internment camps. After the orcs invaded and everything through the Dark Portal. They were like an alien race originally that was getting forced out of the Outland and had to come here, forced out of Draenor, I guess it was called, and had to come here through the Dark Portal and all that. There was a huge war. It was one of the like 7 wars, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it was like atrocities against the Horde because they were the bad guys then. And then it kind of moved to more equal. But since then, story-wise, the Horde have just been doing bad things. Like they burned a world tree.
Yikes.
They took away the agency of like the player to disagree with it. So the Horde players are kind of just complicit with that. Lore-wise, the adventuring party that kills bosses is complicit, I guess.
That is,
and
like
a lot
tough.
of stuff like that. Yeah. And I don't know if they're going to be able to fix it. I don't know if they're going to change it down the line. The Alliance had some really cool storylines and like classic and stuff as well. And Vanilla WoW. A lot of like subterfuge stuff and puppet shadow government.
I do remember the puppet shadow government.
Yeah. It's really, some of that stuff is really cool and memorable. And maybe it's just because I didn't play Horde enough. But a lot of the Horde quests seem way more like kill 15 of these things, bring me 10 of their tusks. And this is totally biased. I've never played a Horde character in Vanilla WoW past like level 40, so.
I mean, well, when I stepped in, I expected it to be like, kill these 10 babies and bring me their skins or something. And then I played it, and it was just like ox guys doing their ox thing.
Yeah, the Tauren are very separated in thematically.
Fair enough.
Maybe the only reason they joined the Horde was because the Centaur were destroying them in a war, and they were like, "We need help," and the orcs and trolls were like, "We got it, Zug Zug."
Maybe that's what it is. That I played Atari and they were removed enough that I was like, okay. But
I
maybe
do gotta say, the original WoW depiction, like the original cinematic for vanilla World of Warcraft, is one of the coolest things I've ever watched, and a lot of that's nostalgia. But even going back, it holds up graphically, and like they hit the song and like the music stops and all of a sudden the choir comes in, it chills every time. But also they like have a representation of each of the races and kind of like a class of each one, and they have a Tauren warrior, and this dude has this been long sought after for an in-game cosmetic. He's got one of the totems on his back, and he takes it and he just hits the night elf with it. It is crazy. Or he hits the bear, sorry. He hits the dwarf hunter's bear with it, just like straight in the side. It is so cool. And there's finally that cosmetic in game, but man, seeing that is one of those things of like, I gotta play a cow dude.
Yeah, that is funny. All right.
Also a good recommendation if you need something that's 2 minutes long to watch. It's just that original cinematic. It's what made me play Undead Warlock originally.
I'll have to let you know on that.
All right, was that time?
Yeah, I think it's about that time. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we say goodbye?
Oh, we can save it.
Okay, we'll save it.
Anything in the pocket can stay in the pocket for now.
Fair enough. Well, that's all for this week of this episode of the Question Chronicles. Thank you for coming out if you are here, and if not, we hope to see you in a future one.
Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube. Engage the algorithm as best you can. You know, we're not the boss of you, but we'd love if you did. Anything that can boost our engagement metrics, as everything is involved now. No one likes to plug themselves, but here we are.
Here we are,
that's
plugging ourselves.
The plug is done.
Alrighty. Well, I'll see you next week, Will. Okay, bye.
Bye.